our nafs is indeed an enemy. Or as our nafs is indeed an enemy. Don't be deceived by it. You have not seen the deceiving ones.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen amma ba'd. Fa'a'udhu billahi minash shaytanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Rasulallah. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Habiballah. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Nabiyallah. Wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Nurallah. Our beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has said that a person who sends 50 times daily durood or salutations or salawat upon me, I will shake hands with him on the day of judgment. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Salatam wa salaman alayka ya Sayyidi ya Rasulallah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Habiballah. Dearest Islamic brothers and the viewers of Madani Channel, there are many hidden diseases or the diseases of ruh or soul. And one of the disease or illness of ruh and soul is called Hubbe Shuhrat. Hubbe Shuhrat means that one plans and tries to get famous. Allah Azza wa Jal says in Quran Kareem, Surah An-Nisa, verse number 38, translation from Kanzul Iman. And those who spend their wealth to show off to the people and do not believe in Allah and the last day, and whose companion has become shaitan, then what an evil companion is he. Sadrul Afadil Hazrati Allama Maulana Sayyid Muhammad Na'imuddin Muradabadi alayhi rahmatullahi al-Hadi writes in Khazainul Irfan under this ayat, after stinginess, spending unnecessarily or wasting has been criticized and condemned. Those who spend just for the name and fame, they never attain the raza and the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal, as the mushrikeen and munafiqeen used to do. Our beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wa sallam has said, the one who will do an action for the sake of fame or to become famous, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will disgrace him. And the one who will do an action to show off to the people, Allah Azza wa Jal will expose his faults and his defects in front of the people on the day of judgment. Desiring shuhrat or having enthusiasm to become famous is something bad, and it is criticized. Because many a times this passion to become famous makes person involved in many sins. Therefore, every Muslim, every believer should try to refrain from this effort to become famous. Hazrat Imam Muhammad bin Muhammad Ghazali rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi says that if one tries to attain a status or a particular position, and the intention is that I must become famous, so this should be criticized, and this is bad. And what is praiseworthy is to stay unfamous and to stay nameless. Now this is different thing, that without trying and making an effort to become famous, just to spread the deen, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes someone famous, then this kind of fame is not criticized, this kind of fame is not bad, because in this kind of fame, person did not try himself to become famous. This has been bestowed upon him from Allah Azza wa Jal. Imam Ghazali rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh answers a question and he says, please remember, a bad fame or fame which is criticized in sharia is that which person desires. However, if one attains fame from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and fame comes on its own without his effort, that kind of fame is not criticized. There's a beautiful story which gives us many lessons, and one of the issue that we are discussing is talbe shuhrat, is also understood very well from this hikayat, from this story, that how bad it is when we do something in order to get fame and name. Hazrat Sayyiduna Mansur bin Ammar alayhi rahmatullah al-Ghaffar, he says, I had a friend and he was devoted to me, he was very close friend to me. And for every difficulty, for every time of happiness, he would come and meet me. And I used to think that he is a hard-working man in ibadat, and he is punctual with tahajjud, and he cries in the court of Allah Azza wa Jal with the fear of Allah Azza wa Jal. And I did not meet him for a while, and I came to know that he is very weak at the moment, he is very sick. I went to his house to visit him, and when I reached, I knocked at the door. His daughter opened the door. After I attained the permission, I went to the house and I saw that his bed is kept in the middle of the house and he is lying on the bed. His face is dark, his eyes are blue, his lips have become fat. I said, oh my brother, recite kalima la ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah in abundance. And he opened his eyes with much difficulty. He looked towards me. Then he fell unconscious. Second time, I advised him the same thing. With much difficulty, he opened his eyes, but he fell unconscious again. And when second time I told him to recite kalima, he opened his eyes and he said, oh my brother Mansur, there is a barrier in between me and the kalima. I am trying to read, but I am unable to read. I said, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliy al-azim. Where are those salats and namazes? Where are those fastings? Where are the tahajjud? And where is that hard work that you used to do during the night? Qiyamul Layl, standing in the night, reading Nawafil, Tahajjud, Ibadat, Quran Kareem. With much regret he said, oh my brother Mansur, all these deeds were not for the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal, but my intention was to become famous, so the people can know me, that I'm namazi, I'm a fasting person, I'm punctual with tahajjud. And in order to show people, I used to perform dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal. In the eyes of the people, I was very pious man. But when I used to be alone, I will get naked and I will drink liquor, wine, and I would compete with Allah Azza wa Jal with the evil activities. For a while I was doing this. Then I got sick and there was no hope to survive. I said to my daughter, "Oh my daughter, please bring Quran-e-Kareem." And she brought Quran-e-Kareem. And I was reading each word from Quran-e-Pak till I reached Surah Yasin. And I lifted Quran-e-Kareem in the space. And I said, "O Allah Azza wa Jal, for the sake of Quran-e-Majid, please give me cure, give me shifa. I will not commit sins after this." Allah Azza wa Jal gave me cure. I became right. And when I got cured, healthy, and I got engaged again in amusements and in sins and started following the desires of my nafs and my bodily needs, Shaitan, the cursed one, caused for me to forget that promise which I made with Allah Azza wa Jal. Then after a while I was caught in the same sickness in which I saw the shadows of death previously. And the people of my house, they kept me again in the middle of my house on the bed. I asked, "Bring Quran-e-Kareem." I read Quran-e-Kareem. I lifted Quran-e-Kareem in the space and I said, "Oh Allah, forgive me. I give you wasta and wasila, and with the medium of Quran-e-Kareem, please forgive my sin and give me cure." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me shifa from that sickness. And then again when I became healthy, I started doing the same things. I started committing sins. And now again I'm caught with the same sickness and I'm kept here on the bed in the middle of my house. I said to my household people that put me in the middle of the house in the same way as you did 2 times before. And then I told them, "Bring Quran-e-Kareem." And I wanted to read. I was unable to read one word of Quran-e-Kareem. I understood that Allah Azza wa Jal is very angry upon me. And I said, "Oh Allah, for the sadaqah and the wasila and the medium of this great book, please remove my sickness and give me cure." Then a voice was heard from unseen. In poetry form, they were couplets, which means when you get sick, you repent from your sins. And when you become healthy, you start committing sins again. Till the time you are suffering in sorrows and in difficulties, you cry. And when you become powerful, then you start doing the bad things. You have been put in so many difficulties, sorrows, musibats and tests. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you nijat. He set you free from those difficulties. While your Lord stopped you from committing sins, you were drowned in committing sins. And for a long time, you were careless from your Lord Allah Azza wa Jal. Did you not fear the death? You had understanding, you had intellect, but you were standing firm on committing sins. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed His blessings and mercy upon you, but you forgot Him. You never shivered with His fear, and you were never afraid, and you were never scared because of Allah Azza wa Jal or His punishment. How many times you promised with Allah Azza wa Jal, but you broke that promise. You forgot every good thing. Before you move from this temporary world, you must know that your place is qabr. And every moment, qabr is sending you the message that you are dying and you are coming to me. Hazrat Sayyidina Mansur bin Ammar rahmatullahi ta'ala says, by Allah, I separated from him in a condition that the tears were flowing from my eyes, and I did not reach my house yet that the news came that so and so has passed away, so and so has died. We make dua from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us beautiful death, death with iman, because there are many who keep fast, and there are many who perform salat, and there are many who perform tahajjud, and there are many who give charities. There are many who do a lot of social welfare work, and they help people, and they stay during the night up worshipping Allah Azza wa Jal. But at the end, at the time of death, their iman is snatched away. Dearest Islamic brothers and the viewers of Madani Channel, this is very important issue to take note of, that we must always be worried about our end, our khatma, and how our death would be. The matter of death is very delicate. At that time, person is in a lot of pain and in a lot of difficulties. One stroke of the death is equal to 100 attacks with sword. So who can bear that punishment? And person is very thirsty. And at that time, Shaitan, the enemy of human being, the enemy of believers particularly, he comes and he tries to destroy the iman of the person. At that extreme thirst, Shaitan comes with the water and he says, you are thirsty, I'm ready to give you water, but say certain words, and he will advise the words of blasphemy to the person. And if person is not strong, if person has not done the good deeds in the dunya, and if he was not repenting, if he did not have fear of Allah Azza wa Jal, then there is possibility that the fadl of Allah or the rahmat of Allah might not be shown towards that person, and his iman might not be saved, and shaitan, na'uzu billah, might become successful in order to destroy the iman of that person. And it is also mentioned in riwayat that shaitan comes in the form of mother sometimes, and in the form of father sometimes, comes and says to the son or to the daughter that I'm your father, I'm your mother, you know I love you, you know I care about you, you know I'm your well-wisher, you know I will never give you wrong advice. I'm here to tell you that you still have few breaths left in your body. Change your religion, become Christian, become Jew, or become someone else other than a Muslim. And I'm advising you that this religion is right and that religion is right, and Islam is not the right religion. Now imagine, person always believes that my mother will never give me wrong advice, my father will never give me wrong advice, my father loves me, my mother loves me, and they are my well-wishers, and they're never jealous of me, they have sacrificed so much for me, why would they give me the wrong advice? If fadl of Allah, and if His mercy is not upon that person, believe me, it's very difficult to save iman from the tricks of shaitan. Therefore, we must always be worried about this matter and cry with the fear of Allah Azza wa Jal, and so He can save us at that delicate and that difficult situation. So good deeds Amal salih, while having the correct aqaid, will help you at that difficult time. And even relationship with the pious people, company with the pious people, company with the ulama, company with mashayikh, becoming their students, becoming their disciples, becoming their murids, also will help you at the time of death. As Sayyidi Ala Hazrat Imam Ahl Sunnat, Imam Ahmad Raza Khan Fazil Barelvi Nabbarallahu Markadahu wa Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayh has mentioned, it is reported in Al-Malfuzat al-Sharif of Sayyidi Ala Hazrat radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, that Hazrat Imam Fakhruddin Razi Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayh, a great scholar of Islam, author of Tafsir Kabir, he was a great intellectual, and he used to debate with people to prove the oneness of Allah Azza wa Jal. And at the time of death, at the time of naza, Shaitan came and started arguing with him, and he challenged Hazrat Imam Razi Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayh that prove it to me, Allah is one. They started debating. Each and every time Imam Fakhruddin Razi Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayh gave a proof, Shaitan was able to give counter proof. Shaitan is not ignorant in this sense. He is known as Muallimul Malakut. He is known as teacher of angels. So he argued and he argued, and there was no proof left with Imam Fakhruddin Razi Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayh. Then his Shaykh, his Pir o Murshid, Hazrat Najmuddin Kubra, who saw this condition of his murid with his kashf, with his karamat, and he was at a distant place, he was at a far place, and from there he spoke and he sent this message and communicated with his murid and told him that, O Fakhruddin Razi, tell this rejected one, tell this mardud that I believe in Allah without any proof. And when Hazrat Imam Fakhruddin Razi Rahmatullahi Ta'ala said that to Shaitan, Shaitan ran away, and Imam Fakhruddin Razi left this world with his Iman intact, safe and sound. So there is also a great motivation for all those who believe in Quran and Hadith and in the teachings of mainstream Islam, Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. They must follow these practices and become murids or disciples of Jami' Sharait Peer. It is necessary that Peer or Shaykh must fulfill all the requirements of Sharia. And how would you know as a layman, as a public, that which Peer fulfills the Sharait of Sharia and which Peer does not fulfill the Sharait of Sharia or the conditions of Sharia? You have to consult well-versed ulama and muftis, and they will advise you. Now this sickness that we are talking about, talbe shuhrat, there are several causes for that, and there are treatments for that as well. Sometimes person worries about having a good name in the society, and therefore person tries to become famous, and he builds up that desire that everyone must know me. So in order to treat this cause of this sickness, one should look at the conditions of awliya Allah and the states of awliya Allah, who would stay away from shuhrat, from fame, and they will try their level best to hide their good deeds. And they would practice upon this recipe of hiding their deeds, so no one must know them and they must not become famous. Sometimes when people praise a person, and person gets satisfaction and happiness in his heart. Therefore, person tries to become more and more famous in order to give satisfaction to his own self. And this is the cause. And the treatment is that one should look at his faults, one should look at his defects, and he must ask himself at that time, this kind of false and fabricated and fake fame might put me in the fire of Jahannam, and all my deeds might be burnt and become ash, and then there will be no hope for me to gain anything in the Akhirat. And sometimes the cause of this sickness is that person likes flattering people around him. When the flattering people are around you, they will always praise you, they will always say nice things about you, and your nafs will start growing and you would start liking, and then you would always be looking for those kind of people around you as your friends. So genuine people, genuine friends will not be with you. So we have to treat that sickness. So you stay away from those people who have the habit of flattering and praising falsely and unnecessarily. So take the friendship of the good people, take the friendship of mukhlis friends, take the friendship of sincere friends who will tell you your defects and your faults, and that would allow you to rectify yourself. And another cause of this hidden disease is that sometimes person wants to attain worldly benefits, and for that reason he wants to become famous. So when he is famous, he'll have more opportunities and more access to have unlawful advantages in worldly matters. And the treatment of this cause is that person should not try to take the wrong ways of attaining fame and name, and person should not plan wrong and hidden ways of becoming successful in the dunya. One should try to do everything correctly, honestly, and have tawakkul and trust in Allah Azza wa Jal, and work hard, and with your koshish, with your mehnat, with your hard work, try to achieve your goals. Then inshallah Azza wa Jal, that sickness would be treated. Another cause for this hidden disease, which is known as hubbe shuhrat, that person wants to become famous in order to hide his bad deeds, in order to hide his shortcomings and defects. And the treatment of this reason is that one should keep in mind that if I try to change my bad doings into the good acts, and I work hard as much as I'm working hard to become famous so people can think I'm a pious person, so if the same effort I can put that I change my bad doings into the good doings, then I will be successful in the court of Allah Azza wa Jal, and my akhirat, my hereafter, will also become good. And another reason of talbe shuhrat is that sometimes people want to deceive other people, and in order to do that, they try to become famous. When they are famous, then people would trust them, and they will abuse the emotions of the people. They will abuse their trust that they have in them. And this is very bad sickness. And this reason is a very bad reason. This is hypocrisy. This is double standard. Deceiving people with this kind of behavior. So in order to get rid of this reason, one should think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching me. And one should develop a jazba of khair khahi, well-wishing for the Muslims. And he should not think about a temporary benefit that he gets from people through this kind of deception. He should worry about the difficulties of akhirah, that if he is caught up on the day of judgment because of all his wrongdoings and deceiving and using his fame to deceit and deceitfully, taking their money, their wealth and playing with their emotions, then the azab in the akhirat would be very severe, and person might be put in severe difficulty, and nobody can bear the azab and the punishment of Jahannam or the azab of qabr or any way where the azab of Allah comes. We make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq and understanding of this hidden sickness, this sickness of ruh and soul, and may we get rid of this sickness and become healthy spiritually and pure from this sickness. And when we do something, our intention must not be to have name and fame. Our intention must be to please Allah Azza wa Jal. But if name and fame comes automatically without our effort, without our much plan, and that is for the deen, then there is nothing wrong with that. But also, as Imam Muhammad Ghazali rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh has said, that it is dangerous for weak people. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not put us in tests and exams because we are weak, and may Allah keep us on the right path, on the path of Quran and the Sunnah of our beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ameen bijahin Nabil Ameen sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
For as our nafs is indeed an enemy, for as our nafs is indeed an enemy, don't be deceived by it. You have not seen the deceiving one.